And today we're going to be talking about being the only vegan in a social setting.
That's right.
Tough shit.
Tough shit.
After 13 years of marriage, me and my wife Sasha have decided to get divorced. You know, I've chosen to be raw vegan, and my raw vegan journey is the best possible journey for me, and she knows it. But she doesn't want to go on that journey with me right now. We have children together. We have a 10 and 12-year-old, and we just got divorced. And we came out here to this spot here in nature to do our releasing ceremony. And I got more emotional than I thought.
I got less emotional than I thought.
I have been married for almost 21 years, and I wasn't gonna let this be what undid my marriage. I'm not gonna lie and sit here that it's easy, you just kind of breeze through it, and it's not like that at all. My marriage went through a very rocky period when I first transitioned into, when I settled into raw veganism.
Like, once you become vegan, you know, you kind of get like bitter and angry.
Didn't he like
look at this. A lot of vegan females, they date carnists. That is gross. That's this. I don't know how you can. I can't like imagine. Would you guys date a girl that eats meat? Just imagine like living with that person. Imagine living with that person and bringing like a dead chicken like to your freezer.
I have a friend who is a little bit more straightforward, and it's worked for her. She's now converted 2 boyfriends to being vegan. I was asking her, like, picking her brain the other day. I know, I was like, tell me what you do. And then they had watched Earthlings. She said a couple days later, he was like eating meat, and she looked at him and was like, do you have no soul? And I kind of respect her a lot for that, because she kind of didn't care if that meant that they were going to get in an argument, or even that they could potentially break up, because she was so passionate about it.
I'm all for it, eh? I reckon date him. Like, definitely date him, because, you know, if you date a non-vegan, they're getting exposed to veganism. That's all a lot of people need to want to go vegan. I would have to say, though, that after a while, if they hadn't gone vegan, I would probably struggle with that. You know, I would struggle with it each time I noticed them making a non-vegan choice, like, you know, if they ordered a steak or something. Everyone deserves that chance to meet a vegan, to make the connection. I would be happy to be that person for someone.
It's so hard because honestly, you lose friends.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you are awakened to this thing, and then you think that your friends will be on board.
Yes.
So you want to show it to them, and then instead of them being with you, they make fun of you.
Well, so, like, at least for me, whenever I go on a date, I make it very clear. Like, if I ask a girl out, I do make it very clear that if she is not vegan and she wants to eat meat or animal products, she's allowed to do it. I refuse to pay.
Yes.
So I say, if she wants to have
I did the same thing.
Were those really your friends?
No, and I'm happy they're gone.
Yeah.
She cut them all out.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to keep eating dead bodies? I have to go.
And he just recently said something really stupid that pissed me off. He made a video titled, "What I Think When My Friends Go Ex-Vegan." Well, that's your first mistake there, Brian. If they're ex-vegan, they're not really your friends anymore. At least they shouldn't be.
Like, I've had to delete so many Facebook friends because these people are holding up their dead deers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was so feisty. I was so angry. I was just so negative towards everyone that was not vegan. I could not accept the world the way it was. I was just attacking my family. I was shouting at them, asking them why they can be so brutal.
And at the time, I was just trying to like be myself, but also express my new knowledge and my values to my friends without losing them.
The animals really don't care about your relationships, your friendships, and your whatever.
They just want the cruelty to stop, the suffering to end.
So you need to be a voice. You always need to speak up.
If you start saying the same dumb things and stupid questions, I'll cut you off.
Sitting at the same table with people eating animal bodies has made me so uncomfortable that I just can't put myself in that situation.
I used to lash out on people. I used to be so angry with my family and friends, and they could tell you about it.
and how to deal with the issue of eating together with people who are not vegan.
One of the most difficult messages that I receive from people that I always find quite hard to respond to is teenagers who live at home and they say, I want to go vegan, I've connected with the ethics of veganism, but my family won't let me. Or I get a message from people who say, I've gone vegan, but it's really difficult for me when I go out and I socialise with my friends because none of them are vegan, and they mock my veganism and they kind of make me feel very uncomfortable.
His family often invite me to have dinner with them, but over time, the more involved I became in animal rights activism, the more unacceptable I found it, and I just found it deeply uncomfortable to be sitting at the same table with people eating animals and act like it was normal and acceptable. I would simply decline their invitations for me to eat with them.
Okay, so of course we are going to be eating differently from, family and friends who are eating that way. That's natural. You have to be strong, okay? So that's just a normal thing that will come up. You won't be fitting in, and celebrate it. Seriously, you don't want to fit in with unhealthy, sick people.
I think something that a lot of new vegans struggle with sometimes is non-vegan friends or family, which we spoke a little bit about.
So basically my stepdad had packed her a ham sandwich, and basically she said to me, your stepdad said that I should get it out and eat it in front of you. And I thought, that really upset me, and understandably so. Now, this is a family member who, I spent the majority of my life with, saying to my mum that she should get out a ham sandwich and eat it in front of me, and it's just disrespectful and insulting. And eating an animal product purposefully in front of them, that's not just mocking them, that is a very aggressive act, and actively mock my views and my values. And that's a really hard thing to process, and I think it kind of summarized quite perfectly why I just can't go home. Imagine if I did go home. Imagine if I was in his house, surrounded by his animal products and surrounded by a man who has the mindset that he should be able to mock my veganism. How would I possibly be able to cope with that?
And the people that you love are not vegan, it's okay to feel angry about it. So just allow these emotions to come and go whenever you feel like they are coming.
Aiming a lot of the resentment and anger I felt at seeing all those animals before they were being killed, I aimed a lot of that at the non-vegans in my life. I just felt like I hated them, and that was my way of dealing with the trauma.
You see the horrible things that's happening to animals, and it's really, really frustrating, and you become very angry. Coping with non-vegan friends when you're a vegan, and I think with family is a little worse, to be honest.
This is an emotion that will be your companion as a vegan in a non-vegan world, so you might as well get used to it. Before that happens, I know it's painful to sit at a non-vegan table with non-vegans. You could ask your family if you could have a separate shelf in your cupboard and in your fridge, and anytime you open it, just have tunnel vision. Just focus on your shelf. Don't look at anything else because it's going to upset you.
Wondering how to deal and cope with non-vegan friends and family members eating meat, especially like seeing them eat meat.
But you should protect yourself and you should protect your feelings. So if sitting at a non-vegan table is not something you can get on board with, you don't have to do that.
I still do not sit and eat with anyone while they consume animal products. I still do not sit and eat with my dad ever because he won't eat the same food as me.
And it's so hard not to just like lash out and just scream and argue and cry and yell and become angry and let all those emotions out into feelings that are expressed in a really negative way, because that's how it makes me feel, at least, and I know a lot of people can relate.
Another thing is that it's okay to be sad too. And as a vegan, you know that it's so horrible to know the things that you know and still live in the world that is so cruel to the animals.
Especially because the holiday season is coming up and a lot of people put like a giant dead bird in the middle of the table.
You can't possibly bring yourself to be at the same table as non-vegans.
Personally, we don't attend occasions like Christmas or Easter or anything that we know is going to be around animal foods. We personally choose not to be part of that violence, to be a witness to it.
I don't love eating dinner at the table with my family with them cutting into dead animals.
So, I mean, I think the first few Thanksgivings we had, honestly, were pretty bad with my family. There were a lot of tears in the kitchen and a lot of confusion and a lot of just feelings that were just not being understood by either side of the issue.
I still really, really resent and feel very uncomfortable sitting with anyone while they consume animal products. So this is an act of self-care for me not to do that with you because I love you.
I need to see a therapist. I still need to see a therapist. That's for sure. There's a lot of scars.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. Shout out to therapy.
Shout out. Can we just give it up one time to therapy?
I don't
Give
know
it up
about
to
it,
therapy.
but I support it.
Normalize therapy. Therapy is amazing.
If that's happening, then those people are dragging you down. Create some distance. You don't have to go along to all of those occasions. You don't have to be so immersed in those friendships or those whatever. Just create a bit of distance, you know, a healthy boundary.
Did you go back to your friends and say like, hey guys, now I only make smoothies with one banana?
No, I didn't. I think they've like written me off as like the crazy vegan lady, and that's fine. That's who I am to them. That's none of my business.
And it's something that's always confused me because my family aren't vegan. My friends, are all vegan now. But
Back in the day when I first became vegan and I would meet a vegan, I'd be so excited and I would like high five that person and be like, yeah, you don't use animals. Whereas now, it's not that I don't feel happy when I meet another vegan, but I meet another vegan and I kind of go, and what kind of vegan are you?
If you can ever go back to eating animals, you were never vegan.
No.
If they really truly care about you and love you, they will want to support your ethical lifestyle choice. They won't want to critique it or mock it.
Your family members and your friends are going to be the toughest to crack.
For some reason, it's more difficult to have an honest conversation with your family about these things than it is to have it with a friend or even a total stranger. You can have a more open conversation.
And for some reason, I don't know what the psychology is behind this, but friends and family are less likely to listen to you. And that's just what I've found from my own experience, and a lot of other people have found the same thing.
The last people that you're going to convert is your family and friends, especially family.
Family members and friends are the toughest people to talk to and convert anyway, so I would not waste too much time on them.
Our situation is quite interesting where 99% of our families don't actually care. They don't ask us any questions. We'd love them to have conversations with us, but
They're by and large apathetic.
Yeah, they really just don't want to have the conversations.
my family still aren't vegan, and I bought my mum, my stepdad, forks over knives nearly 2 years ago to watch, to kind of give them a little bit more information about why I've made that choice. And I thought the health would be a really good way of kind of making it seem accessible to them and not seem too daunting. But nearly 2 years later, they've still not watched it, and I can't quite get my head around why they haven't in 2 years been able to put aside 90 minutes just to try and understand my point of view. And it just seems so strange to me that, these people who I lived with for 18 years wouldn't be interested in understanding why I've made such a fundamental change in my life.
The best way to educate anyone in any situation, especially friends and family, is to ask them leading questions.
One useful tip that we learned, that we employ a lot actually in our conversations with family, friends and strangers, is you basically say, I agree with you. I know where you're coming from. I understand what you're saying. And
I used to think the same thing until I learned that, blah, blah, blah.
And if you're feeling so upset that you really can't be in this house for many reasons, find some support groups, either on Facebook, on Instagram, here on YouTube.
Remember, you are not alone, and you have a huge community who is willing to support you and will help you as much as they possibly can.
And you are not alone. Trust me, I have been dealing with this, and I've dealt with this for the entire time that I've been vegan.
Find vegan meetups, follow people on social media that, help lift you up in your community, because it can be very, very lonely. It can feel very lonely.
Super important.
Like, I felt so alone.
Yeah, it can be lonely
Yeah.
if you don't have anyone else around you who kind of follows the same like ethical rules that you do, or does it for the same reason that you do.
It's so isolating.
It can.
If you're hanging out with other vegans as well, you're not going to feel so isolated and alone.
I was living in the area that I grew up in, and I felt quite isolated there. I didn't really have many like-minded people, friends around me.
I ate Ben and Jerry's last night at 3 o'clock in the morning with my cat. We sat at the freezer and we ate ice cream together. He had catnip treats and I ate the Ben and Jerry's ice cream. So what are you talking about?